Hello, and welcome back to the Cricket Nerds podcast. Now, from the dawn of time itself, test matches were endless, okay? There wasn't a limit to how long they would last. And then they decided 5 days is enough for a test match. And then England decided, no, 2 and a little bit days is what a test match should be. And that's what we just had with South Africa versus England, the decider of the test series, the final test of the English summer, and England reigned victorious as we predicted. Boys, what have we just seen?
I think a 3-day test match suits Bazball. Basically, it does, because you've got to be aggressive with the bat if you want to put the other team under pressure. And if you lose wickets quickly, it's not the end of the world, because I think it was going into day 4, they'd already had almost 2 innings, and England were batting in their first innings, trying to build a lead. I know they didn't last long on day 4, but they probably would have wanted to get to lunch on day 4 with a lead, in which case you've got a day and a bit to do the last 2 innings, which isn't much time, but because they'd had so short first innings, it didn't really matter. But yeah, it suited England because they could just play in their natural aggressive style, and it worked for them, and it was too much for South Africa. But let's go to the first innings. Ollie Robinson and Stuart Broad, awesome stuff, especially Ollie Robinson. I don't know, Benj, what you thought of his opening spell.
Oh, it was a really good bowling wise. It was just fantastic. Like, just everything seemed to be finding an edge or hitting the stumps a lot of the time. I do think that England, we say this 3-day format suits Bazball. We say 3-day format. That's a stupid thing to say. 3 days of a test match suits Bazball, but we need to think back to the first test where England got hammered in 3 days as well, because they were put into bat first and got skittled by Rabada. I think, look, England did really well in the test with what they had. They, regardless of how many days they had in this test match, they won this test match because they bowled South Africa out for 118 in the first innings. If you skittle a team for 118 in the first innings of a test match, it puts you in a good place. The test match was pretty much won on Thursday when Ben Stokes won the toss and decided to bowl first, because bowling first automatically puts you as an advantage when you've only got 3 days, because it allows you to chase rather than have to build and put up a good score. Yeah. But I just said, look, it got started by those bowlers. Robinson and Broad on that first day were phenomenal. I think Robinson's first spell, what a pickup for England, being able to have him back into that squad, and a good replacement in Matthew Potts as well, who's also had a good summer. But like Robinson, yeah, it's a return for him, isn't it? A return to glory, a return to grace. He's got his fitness back. He wasn't, breathing heavily after his first few overs. He bowled 14 overs on that first innings and took 5 wickets, and deserved every wicket that he took. Ably supported by Broad and Robinson. What do you think about that?
We remember in the last few years, we've had this problem where right arm medium bowlers is all England know how to produce. Like right arm medium fast and right arm fast medium. Nothing spectacular, all kind of the same. Anderson, Robinson and Broad are all kind of the same. They're pretty tall chaps. They don't bowl at express pace. They bowl with great skill. And when right arm medium doesn't work, we think this is not good, because we're kind of just in a bad position. When right arm medium is unplayable in the conditions that we were playing in, it means that we've got 3 of the greatest bowlers in the world. So it was absolutely brilliant. Like, if it wasn't going to be Robinson taking the 5-er, it could have been Broad, it could have been Anderson, it could have been Stokes. Stokes didn't even need to bowl in that first innings. I thought it said it all when Stuart Broad, of all people, came off that evening after 17 wickets had been lost in the first day, and said, that pitch is way too bowler friendly. That kind of said it all for me, because if Broad is saying that, you know it is like a proper spicy pitch.
Well, it was just doing enough. It wasn't as if it was hooping miles, because it's been known where it's been really bowler-friendly conditions. England have the ball. Jamie Anderson, the best magician when it comes to swing bowling, and he can't get wickets because it's doing too much. It's passing the outside edge of the bat or going too far down leg for LBW, whereas on that first day or third day, it was just doing enough to take the edge. And that's why Folkes got loads of catches. I know England packed their slip fielders at the moment, but it just kept finding the keeper, it was really good bowling as well. We can't take anything away from that. And what's exciting for England's bowling attack is the fact that James Anderson, when he plays away from England, he's found a way to not go for any runs and to ball the batsman out. Stuart Broad can always do those insane spells that we've seen. But Ollie Robinson, because he attacks that top of off stump so often, a high percentage of his balls hit that top of off, he can be dangerous wherever, because it doesn't matter what the conditions are doing. If you can hit top of off, you're bound to get wickets. Should we talk about England's batting? Because there are a few hits and misses in England's batting. Thoughts on Ollie Pope in the first innings?
I've got to say I'm impressed with Ollie Pope at number 3, just in general. He's still the the cat on the hot tin roof when he bats. Very fidgety. There were quite a lot of edges in that 67, and I think it's a good thing to caveat. Like, it was a good innings. It was fundamentally a match-winning innings, really, for England, because it actually meant that we weren't skittled for, fewer than South Africa in their 118. But it wasn't chanceless. However, I think Ollie Pope has really taken the bull by the horns in number 3. And he offers something. He offers high skill. He's a bit of an Ian Bell in the way he plays, just beautiful looking cricket shots. And yeah, I was impressed. What did you think, Bench?
I think it was good. I think Pope was, as we expect. He's had a decent summer at number 3. He's playing at his home ground as well, the Oval. He knows the bounce. He understands what's going to happen in those conditions. And I think he just played a sublime knock. The thing I really want to focus on, though, and I think this sums up the whole series, even in that first test as well, I think South Africa were just poor the whole way through, aside from Kagiso Rabada, Marco Janssen's bowling. But the batting side for South Africa, I think, especially in this last test match, but also in the first test match, in the second test match, in the whole series, there's only been 1 half century. And that was in South Africa's first innings of the first test. So I don't know. I just think all over they have been, quite poor. I mean, Zach, what do you sort of think about the South African performance overall in the test match?
I think I agree in terms of they didn't play very well. There was all that talk before the series from Dean Elgar about how South Africa weren't going to rise to Bazball. They were going to play their own brand of aggressive cricket and do it the South African way. And I think although they were able to talk about all this stuff, they didn't exactly show it, because in a way I didn't think South Africa knew how they should bat. And I don't know if the Bazball did get in their heads a bit, because occasionally they would be playing these really expansive attacking shots and then they'd be blocking it all the time. And it was like they couldn't make their mind up of how to play. Whereas with England, you saw that clarity. And even though we can sit there and sometimes have our head in our hands and think, why has Stokes played that ridiculous shot to get out? But at least you know what their intent is. South Africa, you didn't know what their intent was. The best passage of play we saw from South Africa's batsmen was at the start of that second innings when Villa and Elgar opened the batting. They looked confident, they looked assured. England were bowling well, and they were managing with it. They were dealing with it. And that was the only passage of play that I've seen South Africa actually look good with the bat. But we can't take anything away from their bowling, because South Africa's bowling has been awesome. Like their Fab Four, I guess, with Rabada, Janssen, Norkia, and then either Ngidi or well, I don't know who else they had.
Whoever else, yeah,
Or someone
Ngidi.
else.
They had,
But the pace of Norkia, the accuracy of Rabada, and the left arm tall bounce of Marco Janssen, it's awesome to watch. It's just their batting. It needs work.
I
definitely.
think like when Irvia and Elgar looked their best was actually the first sort of, I think it was the first 11-ish overs, or maybe even fewer than that, of the second innings, when looking at some of the stats, I think that was when the lowest percentage of balls were actually going to be going on to hit the stumps. I think England's lengths were just a little bit shorter, which kind of made them harder to get away, but it also means you can leave a lot more on length. And if you cast your minds back to the Ashes, hopefully you haven't got too much PTSD from that, but there were like, can you remember just thinking about the lengths? Like England were never full enough. The balls just weren't really hitting the stumps. And it meant that, you know, Australia's batsmen were really good at leaving on length. England's batsmen weren't at all. And so, you know, we saw that, like, South Africa have got some good batsmen. They don't have experienced batsmen. I think their second most experienced batsman at the moment, other than Dean Elgar, is Keshav Maharaj, who's a number 8. So like, they don't have an experienced batting lineup at the moment. However, they have got some talented players. I thought just England were bowling in the right areas for, you know, large proportions of the matches. I do want to say that as fun as Bazball is, I think Bazball is a brilliant bowling mentality, because you push the ball full, you're playing attacking shots. Everybody on the field is in a catching position, not we're going to try and prevent this going away for runs. It's where can I stand where the ball is going to be up in the air so that I can take and get them out. And that's something really impressive. With the batting, I do have to say there are so many soft dismissals there, all the way down. Just like, you know, thinking about the way it started yesterday morning, so Sunday morning, when I think we only managed to put on like another 8 runs or something for the tail.
16 balls.
Yeah, and like Ollie Robinson kind of epitomized it for me, where it was just like the softest punt up to mid-off. I was like, that's a nothing dismissal. And Ben Stokes, I thought he played stupidly. I thought Root was going out there as if he was looking to, you know, get a strike rate of over 150. It was just, it was all slightly unnecessary when they're like, Root and Stokes naturally aren't the problem here with the batting. Like they're two of the only people that have actually been halfway decent. When Root plays his natural game, he's just got an effortless strike rate of about 70. That is perfect. Don't change that. If we're playing a 3-day test match, strike rates of 70 are brilliant. You don't need to be going at 120. Speaking of people that did go at 120, though, I thought Zach Crawley absolutely nailed it by the end. In that final innings, I don't know if it's enough to really justify his existence there. I think they probably will keep on going with him. And the upsides of Crawley are big, but I do want to get your opinions. Is this innings of 69 off 57, which was a beautiful knock, by the way, almost chanceless for the first 50 at least, is that enough? And if it's not, who do you replace him with? Zach, you go first.
I think I don't see him being removed from the team. Whether it is enough or not, I think if he'd scored 20, he'd still be picked in the team. And I think the reason is because of the reasons they've given for Zach Crawley, is that he sometimes plays these innings. when we were getting absolutely hammered in India the other year on the last tour, he scored a 70 odd off not many balls, and it was a good innings to watch. He scored his 267 against Pakistan, and you don't score that sort of innings without being a good international standard player. I think he's had his ups and downs in his career. He's had a lot of downs in his career, and I think England will still persist with him because he plays those sorts of innings which will win you the matches. And I think we have to remember that he is still young, and England are building at the moment, and there aren't that many openers in cricket, in English cricket at the moment. So they almost need Zach Crawley in the team just to fill that role and every now and then play a match-winning innings. I think Alex Lees's spot is more in jeopardy than Zach Crawley's because of what Zach Crawley can bring. So that's my opinion on it.
I disagree with that. I think the mentality for England was they were going to give him the summer. What they did, they came in with this new look team after the tour of West Indies, and they knew they had 3 tests against New Zealand, 3 tests against South Africa, and a test against India. And it was going to be a hard summer. And I think they didn't want to fall into the trap that they've done previously of chopping and changing the team all the time. And they were like, look, here's the summer. We're going to back you. We're going to back this as our best 11 players. That's going to be our test match team. Now, I think there's a lot of thinking to do before we come over to our winter tours. I think our next tour is over in Pakistan. That's the next time we're going to see England playing Test cricket. And I think there's going to be a very different looking squad. I think we'll see the likes of Moeen Ali back in the side, just to give that extra spin option. And I think it'll be a very different side. I can't see that Crawley's going to be part of that because there are people in the county championship who I think have done enough to earn their place.
Well, I guess thinking about going to Pakistan is obviously going to be spin friendly, and someone like Keaton Jennings is one of the best players of spin in the country, and he's done very well as an opener. So we could see Keaton Jennings come in, but I don't see them getting rid of Zach Crawley because he's also a good attacking player against spin, and I think Brendan McCullum would like that.
I'm not sure who we'll see instead. I just think, I don't know. I think I wouldn't be surprised if there are a number of changes the next time we see England play Test cricket. I'd expect people like Ollie Pope, Root, obviously, Bairstow, Stokes, that sort of a retained middle order. I wouldn't expect Folkes to be dropped anytime soon as well. I think for me, Folkes has been the find of the summer. By far and away our best wicketkeeper, and has contributed with the bat time and time again, summed up in that century that he hit at Manchester. But I don't know. I don't think we'll see Crawley again in Test cricket for a while. I think we'll have a break. There'll be a new squad for Pakistan. Watch me be completely wrong. James, it's 1-1.
Yeah, he's going to play.
What do you think?
Crawley's going to play. I'm pretty convinced of that. I don't think we'll actually see a different squad in the first match against Pakistan. Yeah, we'll see Brook again, which will be nice. Hopefully he doesn't play a stupid shot because he looked all right for his 12 or whatever it was. But yeah, no, I'm excited to see it. I think Keaton Jennings would be a worthwhile person to bring along. But yeah, it all remains to be seen. Before we finish, I'll offer our cricket nerds congratulations to Sri Lanka for winning the Asia Cup.
Yes,
they were deserved winners. And my boy, Bhanuka Rajapaksa, a Punjab legend, he provided the winning knock. He was the man of the match for the final. But overall, outstanding performance from all of Sri Lanka, not to be underestimated as a T20 playing country. And commiserations to Pakistan, who fought valiantly but couldn't play against spin. So there we go. Right, we're going to end there. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. You can also follow our social medias at Cricket Nerds Pod. You can also listen to our podcast on Anchor FM, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and more. Other than that, it's goodbye from me, and it's goodbye from Benji and Zach.